If we all know apologies are so important, why do so many of us suck at giving great ones? I don't know, right? Luckily, this is a skill we can learn, and you're fortunate because I've screwed up so many times in my life. I'm really good at this. So let me show you what we got to do to get through this and do it right and offer a sincere apology when we need to. A sincere apology is a powerful thing. It diffuses defensiveness, it validates the pain that the person is having for what we've done to them, and it shows ownership and accountability, which rebuilds trust. So, the first thing you got to do is stop defending your behavior and justifying your actions based on how you may have felt wronged or been triggered to do the thing that you did. It makes the apology irrelevant if you say, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but..." blah, blah, blah. You say all the things that, you justify your behavior by saying, but, right? It negates the apology. So never, ever justify your behavior. That is not the point of an apology. An apology is, I am sorry, full stop. The second thing you want to do is listen with active intent to understand the full scope of the person's pain. When you've hurt somebody, when you've really done something wrong and you need to apologize for it, get into it. It's uncomfortable. It can be painful to stand there and hear reflected back upon you the pain that you have caused this person. But if you truly love them, get out of your ego and take the full brunt of it. Listen to them from their perspective. Allow this ownership of your pain that you have caused to be held by you. Even if they're only 1% correct, look for that 1% and hold it and let them see you claiming it so that they can recognize you're sorry. The third thing, don't seek justice at this point. Maybe you have some justifications that are valid for why you did what you did, but you're seeking forgiveness right now. You're not seeking justice or an equilibrium. You're not seeking to make the score the same. You're seeking to change the relationship with this person because you've hurt them, right? And if you want to maintain a relationship, you're not looking for justice. That's for the courts. And anybody that's ever been into court knows justice does not make a relationship better. It is a very, very fickle thing that doesn't bring any satisfaction, but an apology does. So listen to them. Reflect back what they're saying to you so you can ensure that you've got their position correct. The fourth thing, you've got to get really specific when you state your apology. Be explicit for what you're sorry about doing. When you have a caveat, or if you kind of just say in generic, "Hey, I'm really sorry for that thing I did, I apologize," that's not an apology. You have got to say the words, "I am really sorry that I called you an ugly, nasty pig. It was unacceptable." Whatever that, I'm just making this up, but whatever that thing is, you've got to say and explicitly state what it is exactly you did. When you do that, the person recognizes that you're taking ownership of your behavior. You're not avoiding, you're not deflecting. This is powerful. The fifth thing, ask if there's anything you can do to make it up to them. Be willing to make amends in whatever way they need to see the amends made. Once that is done, then you can begin to rebuild the relationship from the damage that you've caused through your apology. If in fact there is some justification, you can only get into that after you have dealt with the apology at hand, dealt with your side of it, and allowed them to feel the full extent of your request for forgiveness. That is really the key to doing this, right? I went through my divorce and I did some significant things in the process of my divorce, which justified the divorce for happening. I cheated on my wife from the years 2005 to 2008. It was a terrible thing. And it is grounds for anyone to divorce a person, right? I learned that I had to apologize. And in the process of doing this, my children in the divorce, they became angry with me. because they knew what had happened. And they were frustrated with me as their dad they had loved that I would do such a horrible thing. And I used a technique called ho'oponopono to offer an apology. It is not actually used this way. It's not taught in this, but I looked at it, and ho'oponopono is a way of reflecting on anything that is painful in your life and cleansing it from yourself. And when you have something that is painful in your life and you say the words, I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, thank you, it allows you to cleanse that past from yourself and look at the future with fresh eyes. But in looking at my children's pain for what I had done to them and all the ways that it had hurt them as a father who had betrayed their trust, I used that and I wrote letters to them. And I said, I'm sorry. And I wrote all the things that I was sorry for individually to each of my children. And then I said, forgive me. And I wrote all the things that I needed forgiveness for from my children that I could see. And then I wrote, I love you. And I wrote all the reasons that I loved my children. And then I said, thank you. And I thanked them for all the things that I am thankful for. Now, it has not necessarily repaired my relationship with my children, that thing. But it was a deeply sincere apology. I hope that at some point that my children will be able to accept the apology that I gave, because it was heartfelt and it was real and it was without any reservation or justification for my behavior and what I had done. It followed these steps because when you do that, it changes everything. And the interesting thing is, in doing this, it actually cleansed myself from the guilt and the feelings of what I carried and had done to them through the actions that I had committed on their mother. Now, I have several male friends that have talked to me about their issues through divorce. Many men lose contact with their children. And I had a good friend come to me, and he had been writing a letter to his daughter. And his daughter was angry at him for the fallout of the relationship between him and his ex. And he had not been able to see her for years. And I showed him the letter that I had written to my children. Well, each of my children. I showed him one of the letters. And he looked at it and he let me read his letter. And in his letter, he had some things that were justifying his behavior, because every time you're in a relationship, there are justifications for behaviors that are maybe not at the best. And he was trying to let his daughter see his justification for what had happened to him and why he had behaved in the way he had behaved. And when I said, don't do this, you should take this letter and just apologize. Just let her know you love her. Just ask for forgiveness and just say thank you for being my girl. He did it. And he wrote me like a week later to tell me that his daughter had reached out to him for the first time in years. And I see now that he gets to have interactions with his little girl. And they have repaired this relationship because he offered a true and sincere apology. And that is probably not the only reason that it happened, but it is a piece of it. A real apology mends relationships. So if you can do that, if you can really repair, you can change things. I had an incident with my brother. I went mountain biking. My brother had loaned his bike. He has a really nice mountain bike to my sister. And he was out of town, and my sister didn't want to go mountain biking, and I did. And so I hopped on his bike. I borrowed it without asking him. And, it's a very nice bike. And I went riding, and I had a pretty serious accident riding his bike. I went off a big jump, and I landed wrong, and I injured myself actually pretty badly. And I took the bike into a shop and had them fix it, trying to get ahead of it and take care of it, made sure they did a tune-up, and somehow they messed up the tune-up. But I heard through the grapevine that my brother was talking trash about every time he lends stuff to me, I break it, and while I was away, I was hearing all this stuff, and it made me angry. It made me angry that my brother would be bad-mouthing me behind my back, because we're really close. We're really good friends. And in my anger, I called him, and I said, man, I'm not been talking to you because I'm angry at you for, I heard you're saying all this stuff about me breaking your bike, and I took it in and I got it fixed, and I'm saying all this stuff about what I'm mad about. He just listened to me. He never once defended anything. And he said, well, honestly, James, I don't know if I've said that, but it sounds like something I might have said. He didn't remember, right? Because it was a time between when I confronted him and when this supposedly had happened. But he didn't deny it. He didn't deflect. He didn't defend. He just said, yeah, this is really possible that I did this. And if that's what's happened and you're hearing that, I'm sorry, because I am capable of saying stupid things like that. And I don't feel that way about you. And it was beautiful, right? My brother just is like, yeah, man, he just wants to be my friend. I want to be his friend. That's what it is all about. That's what an apology is. I don't want to ruin this relationship. I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to be your friend. I want to be your lover. I want, whatever that relationship is with this person you're with. That is what you want to mend. So don't deflect. Don't ask for justification for your behavior. Just dive in and own it. And when you do, it changes everything. And my brother, he admitted it easily. He's a great, he was great apology. And I immediately felt good. And I was like, okay, fair enough. We're done. We move on. It's behind us. We don't worry about it. The only reason I remember it is because it was one of the few times I've ever felt frustrated, like my brother was doing me wrong. And he just took care of it so easily. Apologies are so good for us if we will do them. They are so good for relationships because we all make mistakes in relationships, no matter how good they are. So a good apology will preserve that for you. Take the time to learn how to do it. I promise you, it'll save some good relationships for you. If you like this, stick around. I got another video coming up on how to not self-sabotage a healthy relationship. I'm James Burnham. Thanks for joining me.